Hi everyone, Wolf Branch Homestead here with a short video, and the barred owls have been back behind me in the woods just hooting away today. We might hear them a little bit further back as we go. I wanted to make this. I thought about it the other day, and I don't know, sometimes I like to just kind of ramble and talk about things and give some perspective to things. I was packing up for an eBay order, and we put these little cards inside. The blue jays are having a fit today. I was putting a little card inside. We have these that you can scratch a note onto, and it comes out in different colors. And we always try to put a thank you note in with everything, whether it's eBay, Etsy, what have you. And I got to thinking about it, and goodness, the blue jays are fussy. They must have their nest, have all their babies starting to hatch out. They're probably watching out because the crows have been out today. But we try to always include a little handwritten note of some sort, whether it's scratching the little note on there on those cards, or just writing something on a note card for people. And just to let people know genuinely that we appreciate them purchasing from our store. On Etsy, we always try to make sure we tell people, you know, your order on Etsy inspires us and enables us to continue doing what we're doing. A lot of the time it's responsible sourcing for crafting, so it's the bone needles or it's the pine needle hand brooms, something like that. And let people know that we do genuinely appreciate their order and being a customer with us. And eBay, kind of the same thing. We always try to say, you know, thank you, we hope you have a great day, and things like that. And there's a reason that we do this for every order. I know that a lot of our viewers, they might be around the same age, they might be older, might have some younger viewers, but a lot of us that probably are on the channel here or watching it, for this channel in particular, a lot of us probably grew up in an era, goodness, now the cardinals are fussing, but we grew up in a time where sending things in the mail, sending handwritten letters was so much more common. We really don't do that. People hardly send cards anymore. There's not really, even for other family members, they've said, you know, hey, I don't really even get Christmas cards anymore. People don't send birthday cards. It's either, you know, online or a text or something like that. And half the time people just text instead of calling someone. And I think that we have gotten so far away from the personal touch of even just a thank you note. Even as a customer on somewhere like eBay, I've purchased a lot of things as gifts over the years, and it's very few times that there's ever a little handwritten just thank you on there, much less somebody putting a nice little note in there. And I like to do that not only, again, to show gratitude for people placing their order, but also because I think that we miss out on that. We miss out on that personal touch of how, again, people used to, even just when I was younger, pardon me, the family would get together, sit down, and type out a letter around Christmas time. And, you know, even then it was typed, but it went out in the mail, and people got that every Christmas. And it was just a letter of what the family had been doing that year, how old everybody was, what, you know, kind of accomplishments or news you had, and everybody on the mailing list got that. You would send out cards all the time to people for their birthday. You'd write a handwritten note in there. And we've gotten away from that. People usually don't get letters in the mail from people anymore. I think it's something we miss out on because it's just such a digital age, or even then that a lot of generations have gotten out of that. And I think for me, when I get something like that with an order, if I get a note in there from somebody, actually one of the most recent things was actually off of Amazon. It was a small family-run company that sells pardon me, through Amazon, and they actually had handwritten a note out, and it surprised me so much that when I reviewed it, you know, that's one of the things I noted, was that I really appreciated the handwritten note. And to me, that's what it kind of made me think of, is back in the day, getting handwritten letters from people, getting handwritten cards, and we were just a lot more connected. I feel that way. And I also think I appreciate it not only as a consumer when I get something, even just again a handwritten thank you is a lot, but when it's a full on thought out message, it means a lot. I really think about the person packing that or making that, shipping that. I think about them taking the time to do that. And as a seller, that's one of the biggest things for me is I think it puts that touch on there of, hey, this person took the time to write this out and show their appreciation, to let me know that, hey, this order was packed with care for me, type thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think it's important. And I wanted to put this out there because I know that it's a totally different time now from even how it was 20 years ago. But it's such a little treat. Handwritten, personalized things are such a treat. And we've gotten out of that to now where it used to be such a commonplace thing. It's like a rare treat to get now. Pardon me. Goodness gracious. Still so much pollen. And I just wanted to make this to kind of encourage people in a few different ways to add that personal touch, to let somebody know that you care. So maybe you're watching this and you're a seller of some sort. Maybe you have like local things that you sell. Maybe you sell on Etsy or eBay, something like that, where you sell online. I'm encouraging you, seriously, take the time just to write a little thank you note. Even just writing thank you, but adding a little bit extra. We have gotten over the years quite a few comments on that people really appreciate that note. Like I said, I personally think that it lets people know that you really are appreciative for them, that you took the time to write something, that you are considerate to your customer, and genuinely saying, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and inviting them to come back and check out your store in the future. I think that's a very important touch. So if you're a seller, definitely try this out. Add that note in there. Be personal. Be genuinely appreciative and show them in a way that people don't often do anymore. I think that sets people a little bit above that little extra bit when you're doing something like packing up an order. And maybe you're a friend or a relative and somebody's birthday or a special event's coming up. Take the time to send a card in the mail, a good old-fashioned card, not just a text, not just a call, but send them a card. Write something in there. A lot of people, and that's I don't know if that's so much of an older generation thing, but like my grandparents they would send a card, which now again don't really even get that. They would send a card, they would sign their name to it, but they would take the care to pick out that card of something funny or something meaningful, something sweet. But take a moment to go pick out a few nice cards and send some cards out to people. Send out a birthday card, send out a miss you, send out a one for get better soon, happy graduation. We're coming up on graduation season, and I know it's the younger generations, but some of them, you never know how much that can mean. Even back at the time when I really didn't understand how meaningful cards would be to me, I still put up those cards from like my grandmother, my aunt, other people in the family. I would put cards back from them and go back on them later on and go, wow, I miss such and such, but look at this card I had from them for this birthday. And I think it's another thing too that I always like is when people send a card, if you put the year in there, I think that's another cool thing, is you can tell what year, what birthday, something like that. It's neat to have a year somewhere on there. So consider sending out some cards for special occasions. Another thing, if you have maybe not an occasion, but just like you want to touch base with someone, you want to connect with some family that's over a long distance, you want to talk to a friend, send a letter. If you can bring yourself to write a little note, if it's not too, a lot of people having problems with joints and things like that, I can understand if it's something typed even. But if you can manage to write a letter out, try to write a letter today and send a letter out in the mail to somebody to surprise them with. Again, I think just handwritten things, sending out letters and cards and thank you notes, a lot of this stuff was so much more common years ago that we took it for granted, and now we don't really ever get that. And again, even cards, like, where you don't hardly see people even send cards anymore, at least for me and a lot of people I'm around. Like, it's, you don't see that. Even something like a Christmas card is just not really common anymore. And I think that as we've gotten out of that and it becomes more rare, that it also becomes more special and meaningful when you do get something like that. When you get a nice, thoughtful message. And again, it doesn't have to just be even your family and your friends. If you are a seller of some sort, even if you go to like a craft show and you have an item for sale, if you write a little personal note about the item you're selling, if you have little cards to go in there that when you pack it up at the sale and put it in a little bag, if you have cards to go in there that are handwritten that say thank you, it's just special, it's meaningful. And you never know when you send something out, whether it's friend, family, you have a customer, something like that, you never know when you send that and you pack it up and you have that personal touch, or like with an order, or if you send out a note or something like that, you never know how much it can benefit someone's day, bring a smile to their face, make them feel a little bit better. And again, just encouraging you all to take a moment to do something like that today, to pack an order up with a thank you note, to send out a card for somebody's birthday, upcoming graduation, to mail a letter to a friend. And, again, just a ramble video. Do these quite a bit whenever I think about something, just out here looking at the woods as everything starts to green out and bloom. But hopefully at least one person maybe takes away from this and kind of considers it. And another thing also, for younger generations of folks that are watching this, it's, a lot of us have gotten out of that too, where we don't send letters to grandma, we don't hardly even call people anymore. And even again, younger folks, send your grandparents a card. Just send them a card saying I'm thinking of you, somebody that you care about. Send them a card and just do like the old days, like how we used to do it, where you just send a card and just say, hey, here's what's going on right now. Here's something about my pet. Here's something about school. I hope you're doing okay. How are you doing? What's happening? Hope to see you soon. Something like that. You never know how much that random little note or card or letter can mean to somebody. And again, not only as somebody selling, but as a buyer, I take note of that. Even though it rarely happens, I always hope for that. When I open a package, when I get something in the mail, I've ordered for, I do a lot of purchasing off of eBay of cool games and stuff for Christmas. And I always hope when I open it up that there's a little note in there or something where it's that personal touch of saying, hey, I appreciate you, even if it's just, taking a pen and writing thank you. I always look for that as a buyer. And then when I see something like that, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I'm so happy that they wrote this, And sometimes it's these really pretty note cards with fancy ink and writing. And sometimes it's just, again, a little scribble of thank you, but they took the time to do that. And again, even like this past year, We got one Christmas card from a friend. But you know what? That meant the world to me because we only got that one card, but personal notes in there. Getting that in the mail as a surprise was just the coolest thing. I loved it. It made me think of, again, being a little kid when everybody sent cards to each other. Everybody sent letters around Christmas time and kind of updated everybody. And I hope that one of you watching will take the time to do something like that. Add a personal touch today. Reach out to somebody by just sending an old-fashioned letter. I know that stamps aren't what they used to be. They keep going up. But I think the price of a stamp, pardon me, I think the price of a stamp and the time spent in itself to do that and add that touch and possibly make somebody's day, I think that's priceless. So I hope this little ramble video has a, I am hoarse, I'm sorry. I hope this video has reached somebody, benefited somebody, encouraged somebody. Again, sorry for the scratchy throat, but as always, until the next video or live stream, we hope you have a great day and take care, everybody. Go write those letters.